Hi, everybody. It's Audrey Moore with Audrey Helps Actors, and this is episode number 40. Feeling sporty about your acting career. You're just going to hit home runs in your acting career all week this week. I love it. It's going to be amazing. So before we get into today's guest, I want to get really quickly right into Self-Tape May. Self-Tape May! We are starting a movement. This May, we're doing Self-Tape May. It's something that we are going to do to better ourselves at our self-tapes and also better ourselves at our audition technique. So we're going to have some prizes at the end of May. I'm going to choose a random winner who's going to win an autographed towel that I'm going to obviously autograph, a 1-year subscription to WeAudition.com, and you're going to be a guest on this podcast. OMFG, that's going to be amazing. And you're not even going to have to be in LA to do it. I mean, we've never done one with somebody not sitting across from me, but I believe in technology and, we're going to find a way. So Australia, if you're in, I'm in, boo. So whatever you want to do. Okay, so here are the rules. Starting Monday, May 6th, you're going to post 4 self-tape auditions per week. You're going to post them on the gram, the Instagram. You are going to hashtag self-tape May, and you are going to tag me, Audrey Helps Actors. I want to every hour get 1 billion notifications that you guys have all signed up and have posted a self-tape for you, hashtag self-tape May. So I'll just give you what I did. This was my purpose of practicing when I was doing my self-tapes is that I would learn sides usually on a Monday, and then I'd work on them. And then Tuesday, I would give myself 1 take in the morning. That's something that was important to me, so that I would get good at the 1 take that was a particular thing that I was really angry about and struggling with. So that's what I was working on. For you might be working on stillness in your self-tape, so you can do that. Whatever you're working on, you should transform this self-tape practice towards yourself and what you're working on. But what I'm looking for is 4 times a week. I want you to use sides from things that have already aired. You can find them on Showfax, you go back a bit, you can find them on any workshop places. Even if you're not in a place that holds workshops, usually you can just easily go onto the sides library of any workshop place in any location, and they've got a library of sides that are sort of approved, used, old school sides. Don't do anything from a play, you guys. For me, this is really about practicing television auditions to gear up for fall episodic season, which starts in July. Okay, so in order for me to know that you're not a cheater pumpkin eater, this is very important. I need you wearing a safety pin for the self-tape, so I know that you're not uploading an old self-tape like the little cheater beaters that you are, okay? So a little safety pin somewhere around your collar, slightly visible. And if you get a real audition, go ahead and upload it, but make sure you put it on mute. I don't want anyone angry at you, so mute it. Don't say what it is. Don't hashtag blah, blah, blah movie or hashtag blah, blah, blah show. Make sure it's super completely anonymous. Obviously, if you don't want to wear a safety pin for that, I totally understand. But I'm not going to believe that you posted 16 of those. If you've had 16 self-tapes in May, I bow down to you, and you don't need this competition because you're already winning at life is what I'll say to you. But, if that happens, go ahead and post it on mute. I think that counts. So just to summarize, we're doing Self-Tape May 6th. Upload your auditions 4 times a week for a total of 16 auditions. Wear a safety pin and use only materials that have already aired. Upload each one on Instagram with the hashtag Self-Tape May. And I'm going to choose 1 lucky winner at random, and you're going to get a signed Audrey Helps Actors towel, and you're going to get a Audrey Helps Actors little pin that I have, and a 1-year subscription to WeAudition.com, and you're going to get to be a guest on this podcast. So that's really exciting. Now, for those of you who are you guys reach out to me all the time, how on earth will I get anyone to read sides with me, so frequently? Well, WeAudition.com is a sponsor of ours, and that's why I recommend them. The monthly subscription is so affordable. Use promo code Audrey25. You're going to get 25% off of the monthly subscription. And then there are people on there who will work with you for free. And there's a little button that you can click to do your self-tapes from weaudition.com. So it's super handy. It's, a really great resource. And then there are professional coaches on there too from all over the place. If you're looking for somebody to really work a kind of material with you and you find somebody that you like, this is a great resource. I really recommend it. I just had a friend who's a mom who had theatrical audition pop up, and then they found it hard to put it all together. And then they were like, oh my God, I just subscribed to weaudition.com. And, why didn't I think of that sooner? It's so much easier for me to be able to work on some sides with somebody and a few people, and I can just stay in my house and I don't have to leave my kids, and it makes it so much easier. So yay, you guys, self-tape May 6th. I'm going to talk about it again next week's episode, but that's so you guys know how it's rolling. Okay, so today we're going to talk to Patrick Fabian. Patrick Fabian, he is just the best person in the entire world. Everyone who knows him loves him. He plays my boss on Better Call Saul. He's had a evergreen career, you guys. He is somebody I really wanted on because he's an actor parent. He's a working actor. He's been working for decades. He has seen trends come and go. He has had all of the things that actors have times X amount of years that he's been in this business. He is a huge advocate for the union. He is one of those working actors who's constantly, going to events and being seen for a union. We talk a lot about that. I had so many people reach out to me who really want to talk to working actors who've been working for a long time. And I, Audrey, have a personal invested interest in that. So this is what I would call a phase 4 actor, somebody who's been phase 3 for years and years and years and has been working at the level with other phase 4 actors for years and years and years, and just has perspective that I just am not going to be able to bring to you. And I'm really interested in always bringing as many perspectives to the table as possible. I personally find this episode so inspirational, and I feel so personally seen and heard and understood. And I think you are too. So love it. And also shout out to everybody who came to the commercial contracts meeting last week. That was so great. You guys, so many of you were there, and I felt like such a proud mom. And I love you guys who came. If you haven't voted yet, voting is due May 8th. You should have gotten a postcard in the mail. And I also want to shout out to all of you who joined. We had so many people reach out to me via any of the formats. And you guys were like, I just joined. I'm so excited. And I'm so excited that you're so excited. And I'm so excited every time you guys join. It makes me really happy. All right. This episode is sponsored by TopTapesWeHo.com. That's TopTapesWeHo.com, and obviously WeAudition.com. All right. I hope you're on your way to an audition. Book it. Book that audition.
Audrey helps actors because they don't know anything.
Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey Moore with Audrey Helps Actors, and today we have
Patrick Fabian.
Oh my God, Patrick.
What?
Hi.
Hi, Julie.
Oh my God, I'm here. So those of you who don't know, I play Patrick's assistant, Julie, on the show.
Better Call Saul.
That's right. And you play?
Howard Hamlin.
That's right. You have such a great character and with such a wonderful arc. I'm really so thrilled for you.
Well, I mean, as you know, the great thing is that we have got such great writers.
You really do.
And the writers go ahead and really lay a template. They put down the perfect sort of roadmap to how to, I just had this discussion the other day. First of all, thank you, and I'll take credit for creating the role of Howard Hamlin, and I'll gladly take those the accolades that come.
Well, and as actors, an inspiration too, right?
But as actors, we always have a time of saying you want to immediately take a compliment and turn it into a turd for yourself, right? So somebody says, "Hey, really good work." You're like, "Yes, but I wasn't their first choice." So, yeah. So I first want to say yes, thank you. I certainly have 27 years of work behind me coming to bear. I have I went to school. I took class.
Yes.
All those things, lead up to this moment.
Yeah.
That being said,
a
good actor can be made to be better with a great script, and can look better with a better editor and with better DPs and all that sort of thing. So, between the job I didn't get 4 weeks before I got the job on Better Call Saul, I didn't become all of a sudden a different or extraordinarily better actor. I just was, in the grand scheme of things, and I don't know if it was what we're getting into.
Yeah, we are. We're going to get into it.
The deal is this. I think your job is to go audition. Your job is to go show people that you know how to act, given the material they've given you in whatever amount of time it is, given the situation, and you go show these people, this is the magic I can create. This is my alchemy. For this role.
Right.
And then whether it's right for what they want is out of your hands, none of your business. And, in this particular case, I went in and did what I thought was the thing. And it seemed to match up with the answer they were looking for to the question they had, which was, who was Howard Hamlin?
I mean, there's so much to unpack there. And
right. I mean,
what I love about what you, let's start with what I love the most about what you said. And then I do think we really need to talk about Better Call Saul and the real gift and how that is then seen in my experience across the whole set of that show. Because like you, I've been on many sets and there's something so magical about the set of Better Call Saul because everyone is so happy to be there.
Yeah.
And they have had the benefit of coming off of, X amount of years of Breaking Bad and having a network that really supports them and gives them a lot of encouragement and resources to
a lot of free reign as well. They've earned it. They earned some free reign.
That's what I'm saying. They've sort of been given a launching pad off of a very successful endeavor and a fan base that wants to see that story continue, even though it's in a prequel form. And I just experience every time I go onto that set, everybody from top to bottom is so really happy to be at work. And, sets are really hard, really long. And even though everyone's happy to have a job to be on any set, no matter what part of the set you're working in, this is one of the ones where I have to say everyone is just like really chill and excited to be there.
It's all sort of greased, I'd like to say. And no one, and this goes from the top on down. This goes from executive producer Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould and Tom Schnauz and all these people who, if there's any group that sort of could be like, hey, my shit doesn't stink and get out of the way, you could make an argument in their case. And instead, the exact opposite is true. Same with Bob Odenkirk as well. There's a real value that everybody agrees that, we have an opportunity to play in a sandbox that's really magical right now. And we all know, because most of us have been around long enough.
Yeah.
And as you said, Audrey, we've been on a bunch of sets.
Right.
And it's not that, and all sets just aren't created equal. That's that whole magic.
And not anyone's fault necessarily. No. I mean, it's really, really hard to create anything great. It just is. In sets, it's so many moving pieces and so many parts that have to come together. And for a multitude of reasons, they just don't always do that. I really am interested in having a conversation with you about some of the things that become ways to handle your energy, handle yourself on set, handle the ups and downs. I try to communicate to actors that you think it's going to get easier as you go up. And in my experience, some things get easier, but it gets more competitive. The people you're up against have more series regulars under their belt. They've been at it for longer. They have maybe as you peek into that next level, every time there's a group of people who've been at that level for quite some time.
And they are not interested in giving up their spot.
Absolutely. And so one of the things that I've learned, and I'd like to communicate to the actors too, is, you can ask for what you need. And and they're very interested in giving it to you, in my experience, because they want the show to be good. And so if you need to run lines, you ask somebody. If there's somebody on set who can run lines with you, Scripty will almost always will run lines. Do you want me to run lines with you? I'm right here.
Excited. Yes.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, they're like so excited. If you need just a space to get into an emotional place or a focus place before your take starts to happen, you can ask to be taken to a space that's maybe, if you're shooting in a house, it's upstairs in the house. Or if you're shooting in a giant office area like where Patrick is usually shooting, you can ask for a particular room that's maybe empty. There's all kinds of ways for you to take care of yourself. And a second AD, a first AD, these are people that you can communicate to hopefully you're communicating with them before the actual scene is just about to happen.
Yeah.
So that maybe tomorrow you've got an emotional scene. You don't want a lot of distraction. Is there a way they can set you up in an area where you're going to have a little bit more quiet, a little more time to focus? And you can even go so far as to ask in what order they're shooting. If you're a guest star, then a lot of times it's like the guest star that is doing all the emotional heavy lifting, as Patrick absolutely knows. He's done, how many guest stars have you done?
4,000.
4,000 guest. I mean, he's done 1 billion guest stars. It's not a joke. So you're often doing a lot of the heavy lifting. And as you will always see when they edit it, it's like you've cried for those 3 or 4 pages, and the camera's on the other actor the entire time during your magical performance.
Paxton. I'm like, wait, where's my monologue? Oh, it's the soundtrack as we watch Bill Paxton's face react to it.
To your incredible monologue.
My mother calls, I thought you were going to be on the show. Oops.
I was. My incredible voice is there. And what happens is you can, for me, I've been able to say, if you could just ask the director like who they're shooting first, because some actors, some of the leads they want on them first.
Right. They want to go first.
They want to go first because their energy is there. I find that I know the 2 girls on Grace and Frankie, those 2 women always like to shoot their angles first because energy-wise, they're trying to conserve their energy. And as the day goes by,
they get a little more tired.
And
they know that about themselves.
Absolutely.
It's all about knowing who you are.
Absolutely.
Right?
And production knows that about them, and they've learned to ask for what they need so their performance is given its best performance. So that means if you're going to be giving your grand emotional speech at the end of this 5-page scene and it's you, and now it's like you've all been there for 10 hours and everyone's really tired, it's good to just know that beforehand so that you are managing your energy, managing your time and your emotionality, your spiritual self while you're on set so that you can work with them and get the performance that you're proud of. And they, in my experience, have always worked with me about that. They've always been very generous.
Oh, absolutely. I think as long as you stack the deck, if you're talking to production about stacking the deck in production's favor.
Yes, please.
They're
in favor of that.
They're in favor of that.
Right.
And that goes with that. But that being said, and I've had, even being a regular on Better Call Saul, I'll find myself forgetting exactly what you were just talking about because I'm like, well, I'm a regular. I've been doing Howard for 2 years. And so I'll run into my own buzzsaw of all of a sudden being maybe a little ill-prepared for today's work or assuming that the schedule that you were given is set in stone. And it never is.
You'll just never learn that lesson. Can we just say, I don't know that anyone ever is going to learn that lesson.
No, I'm second up. That's for sure.
Right.
And so for me, whether I'm a regular, a guest star, or if it's an audition, this goes back to what I said at the top of the show as well. So what is my job? Well, my job is to show up and act. My job is to do the best of my abilities given the circumstances that I know with all this stuff. So what does that mean for me, Patrick Fabian? That means I get to bed early.
Yes.
That means I don't stay out.
That's good.
That means I eat properly.
Yes.
It means for me, I get exercise.
Yes.
I'm a green juice fan.
You're drinking water.
I'm drinking water and hydrating. Know where you are. We shoot in Albuquerque. And if you get there, you need to do all that.
Yep.
And then it's also the thing of, I get excited like first day of school, before going to work every day.
Yeah.
And I always like double set the alarm because I know I'm going to miss it, right?
Right, yeah.
But I like that. And when I go, I have to also make sure that I don't get caught up in the camaraderie of it as well.
Yes, yeah. It can be easy to be a hangout place.
You go and you hang out and then you start to deprioritize the work that you're there to do, which, by the way, is your job, whether you're auditioning or you actually have the job already. That's your job. And in the end, you telling a story sitting in your director's chair or hanging out in craft services and laughing about what you saw on YouTube is not going to be registered when you're in front of the camera and it's time for you to do your stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the stuff you're there for. Right. And it's not about the fear of God in you and stuff like that. It's
to continue to remember to take it seriously in that sense.
Right. It's your responsibility. Right. It is your job. And it's not your right to be on set. It's a privilege. And there's many people. There's 100 of guys who look just like me, who have better resumes, and I can guarantee you are better actors who would take my role in a second. Yep. And that's not to make me feel like fearful. It's to take an adult, mature responsibility as an artist, which is looked at as a immature choice, which is looked at by society. I imagine your parents aren't excited that you're an actor. I can tell you that your boyfriend and your girlfriend aren't excited. I can guarantee you that your fellow actors also are not excited that you chose to be an actor.
Right.
So if you're not going to take responsibility for it and treat it seriously, then who really is? And that involves, basics that sound like basics that you forget, but you forget them. I forget them too.
Yeah.
Know your lines.
Oh, yeah.
Be cold going into an audition. I don't care how it's 9 pages and you don't think you're right for the job. First of all, I don't know why you're thinking that. That's not your job.
That's right.
I always consider it like it's a yes-no game. Are you going to do the audition? If it's a yes, then you go into yes mode, which is what are the requirements of the audition? Not what my opinion about the requirements are. Not whether I think they are a good idea or whether the writing is good. I get out of the objectifying and the judgment of it because my job.
As soon as you can.
As soon as you say yes, then we roll up our sleeves and we do our work. What is our work? Well, it's a very long checklist if you want to stack the deck in your favor.
I've got such a great checklist. I recommend you make your own.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. And I literally go through all those things and it's stacking the deck in your favor.
Absolutely.
Does that get me guaranteed you're going to get the job?
No.
Absolutely not. No.
And in fact, I think the thing that is hardest for most actors as they're getting into actually like this phase 3, phase 4 thing is when you're in phase 1 and phase 2, the idea of getting all those auditions, first of all, sounds like you've just won Candyland, right?
Right.
Now, then you start getting all those auditions, and maybe in the beginning of getting all those auditions, your consistency of kicking ass isn't as high as it's going to be as that becomes a more regular thing for you. So when you're not booking all those auditions that you get in the beginning, you feel like, well, I have some growth to do. And so maybe I'm not booking them all because I'm just not as kick-ass as I need to be. And then there's this point that happens where you start just kicking ass and taking name in every audition. And still nobody cares. And that, my friends, is when the dark depression will set in for a solid several months in my experience, because it was okay for you to not book the job when you felt like you weren't doing your best work. And then it's okay for you maybe once not to book the job, even though you've done your best work, because you can feel like, well, I don't know what they're doing or how they're going. But when you're consistently going out 1-3 times a week theatrically, which, by the way, takes 10 plus years just to even get to that point for most actors.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So when you start doing that, and then you're kicking ass most of the time, and I mean, to the point where you're getting feedback from casting that, not even asked for. Right. Not even asked for feedback.
Audrey was great. We loved her.
Just so Audrey was great. Just let her know we thought she was great. They decided to go blah blah, which you almost always won't get. You almost always are not going to get that. Or your reps call and say, just looking for feedback, and they're like, we loved Audrey. She was great.
Right.
They're not going to be like, we went blah, 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 or we cut the role. You don't get that information because it's not in their best interest to spend any time that they have to actually giving you that information. So if you got that information, that means the casting director took 30 seconds out of their day to hit reply to an email and send it to you, which means they loved you. Now you get enough of those and still consistently don't get the job. That's when you realize there's something else going on here, which brings me back to what you were saying of like, all you can do is do the best that you can do. And if that version fits the producers and creatives' idea of what they're looking for their story, then you'll get the job. But even then, maybe not. Because maybe they have to.
Maybe not, because it's a tough business like that.
Well, there's other people too.
But the ancillary benefit of showing up and stacking the deck in your favor and being great, and I mean be great.
Yeah, great. Oh, I can't stress that enough.
Is because then what you've done is shown a casting director, a director, and a writer, and maybe other people you don't even know.
Yes.
That you know how to act, and you make this kind of magic, and this is what you can do. And so they go, oh. And any good casting director worth their salt, and I know this from absolute experience, going in for something that I thought I was great at, I was great at, I didn't get the job. In 4 months or 6 months later, that casting director has taken note that I came in and did a really good job in this particular role. Right. And they pull me in for an audition for something that my agents didn't even know about.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, what's that about? Well, that's about showing up and showing you can do something. And that pays dividends. They're unseen dividends, and you don't know why all of a sudden you're there. Or the writer who wanted you But the director had sway.
There's so much politics.
But then that writer ends up being a director in their next series.
That's right.
Or they go, I wanted to cast you. I mean, I've heard this a number of times. Oh, I'm really sorry about the thing we didn't cast you in. And I've forgotten about it because I'm like a dog, right? I'm like, was that like 5 minutes ago?
Right.
Oh, yeah. And she's like, and she's like, but I was so glad we got to bring you in this. I was so sorry that we went the other way. Yes. And whether, I'll take that cookie.
Yeah.
But I also, and it's hard. It's hard to develop that rhino skin without getting hard and bitter and wanting to do a bitch fest. Isn't it more fun to smoke cigarettes and stay late at the bar and bitch about why things are not going this way and why
they're not
a
fair?
Shitty actress?
Yeah. Don't go on the bitch phase about why they're not fair. We're not playing the fucking fair game here, you guys. What we are playing, in my opinion, is consistency of doing excellent work that hopefully you continue to fall in love with at each opportunity. Over time equals relationships, equals trust in you as an actor, which will over time equal opportunities that will unfold for you.
And I believe there's always opportunities that will come up, and especially nowadays with the zillion platforms. Like, I don't know what it's gonna look like in 5 years.
There's 497 original scripted TV shows right now,
and it sounds impossible. And yet they are there.
They are so there. And not only that, 2016 there were 2 times more original television content being produced than the previous 6 years combined.
Wow.
That's fucking awesome.
That's awesome. That means there's so much more opportunity out there.
There is.
And there is.
And yet you can probably still do feel like, well, where is it?
Right. Well, where is it?
Where is it?
Yeah. How come
if it's here? Then where is it?
Oh, it's easy for you. You're on a show, right?
Well, that's always the excuse, right?
I get it.
Yeah. Everyone's got that excuse. I just want you guys to know, I have never, tell me if you have, Patrick, I've never met an actor that was like, well, the thing is like, I'm just really on trend right now and things are just really easy for me. Like, I go in, I audition, and like I get jobs. Like, it's just because I'm really in. They're looking for my type, and my type is really fantastic. So they just bring me in and hire me, no matter what your type is.
No matter what.
Every single person has an excuse of like, well, I don't have the resume. And all the people with long resumes are like, well, I'm not new and fresh. And they wanted like a new, fresh face. And anyone of any color at all thinks that they always want the other color other than theirs.
Right.
And everyone who's young thinks they want actors who are more mature. Everyone who's more mature thinks that the business only wants young. Like, I've never heard anybody say, like, I'm completely satisfied with the way things are. And I bet you they're going to even be brighter tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. I mean, that's part of the stasis of being it. And this goes back to that idea of, again, like, the rest of the world has an opinion about what you do. They have a distinct opinion about what you do, how you do, and how you're not being serious about your life because you're doing it. Most of it, not a great opinion. Most of it, not a great opinion. Absolutely. It was 25 years, and my dad was still ending the conversations with like, well, are you going to go teach? Because I went to college and I could go teach. Right. And in the end, the managing of this cycle of, I got a job, I'm great. Oh, it's going to end. Now I'm depressed. And the trap door's open. And what do you do? And what do you do? It's managing that. It is the rejection business. And I say that, I embrace that. I'm not going to say I love it, but I'm going to embrace it because what are your other options? There are no other options. Yeah, right. Otherwise, you're going to get punched and feel so bad all the time. And it is about finding opportunity. And it's about putting yourself out there. I love to say yes, even at this stage. On the wrong side of 50 with a series regular under my belt and a really big fat IMDb. But if you look through it, you could easily say 80% of that IMDb is not very good. And that's okay. That's okay. But, I'm a big fan of saying yes. Even yes to the audition, even if it's falling into that trap of like, oh, these sides don't fit me. Why is this opportunity coming? That's attitude. Oh my gosh. And it kills you. Like you get a call or you get an email that says you have an appointment, you get sky high, and then you start reading it and you immediately start making a case of why you're not going to get it and it's not yours, right? And I still do that. Listen, and can I say that's so why I want to have you on, because I want you guys to know I still do that. So it's a thing that you'll learn as you start talking to, and why I so encourage everyone to have friends, actors who are a few levels, years, resume credits ahead of you, is because I was able to learn like that doesn't seem to go away. That what happens is you just make peace with it, and to the best degree of your capability, you just try to cool it down a little bit.
Well, now I can be aware of it. Right. Now it happens. I'm like, oh, that's happening.
Oh, that's that thing.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. You know what? So take a nap, have a sandwich, have some green juice, right. or just recognize it. And I'm a big fan of writing. I'm a big fan of having a yellow legal pad in my bag. And when that happens, then I like to take a pen and I start, yes, exactly that. Audrey, of course, has one. You put it down and you just start writing. You literally write, I don't feel I'm right for this part. Why is that? What's going on? Okay, I should be happy about this. Make a quick list of and just get it physically out of your body and then continue on with it. Yeah. And then when you make the decision, again, I'm a yes-no man when it comes to it. Am I going in? Do this?
Yes.
Great. Now that I'm in it, I'm not going to worry about the frame or the window dressing. I'm worrying about the window and the picture. And the picture is I'm auditioning.
But wait, Patrick, wait. You're so handsome, but I have to interrupt you.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you shit you didn't know about your union.
This shit you don't know about your union is brought to you by Tapes WeHo. That's tapesweho.com. Okay. Tapes WeHo. This is a girl in West Hollywood, obviously, and she has a self-taping service outside of her house, and she reached out to me. Hey, girl, hey. And this is Michelle, and she is a fantastic actress, a writer, a director, and you guys know how I feel about people helping you with your self-tapes who understand story. I think it's so valuable and so important. So anyone who's a working writer and director who has an understanding of story, I really think that that is something worth considering when you're doing your self-tapes. Self-tapes can be hard because you need some direction. You always feel like the perfectionist kicks in. And so, what are you going to do? Like, how can you possibly know what they're looking for? And somebody who understands story is going to be somebody who's going to help you craft that a little bit better. She's also somebody who is willing to just shoot your self-tape, keep her mouth shut. If you want her to just sit there and be a reader, she's an excellent actress. She will sit there and read with you if that's what you're looking for, because some people don't really want direction, and she offers that as well. She's got a really great setup. Her self-tapes are recommended. Plenty of her people are with top agents, and high level agents, and their agents are like, I only want you going there to do your self-tapes. So that's really great news. As you know, I don't recommend anyone that I haven't personally tried, and I had a really great experience with her. So I freely and happily recommend her to you. She also has a service that I recommended to her to start. I felt like, so many of these coaches in self-tape places, they start coaching you and they don't necessarily have all the information. So she offers, you can pay her a little extra to read over the script, to read over the episode, to know what's going on ahead of time. And then you walk in and you can just say, okay, so you read it. And then you guys can actually get some work done without cutting into your time and you having to explain to them what's going on. Somebody who has a little bit of a different perspective, I think that's a really valuable resource. So I recommend her. That's tapesweho.com is their website to contact her directly. Okay, so on this week, on Shit You Don't Know About Your Union, for those of you who couldn't go to the union meeting, there was some stuff that we didn't put on the commercial episode from last week. So if you didn't listen to that one, I really need you to listen to that one. But this is a little heads up about the contract and why we've changed it from the old payment system to the new payment system. There's a lot of discussion about something called edits. So how many times can a client edit your commercial without it becoming a new spot that they have to then pay you for? Okay, so there's a lot of stuff that's in the weeds about all of that. But what I want to make really clear to you guys about what's so great about this contract and the options that they have created for us to get paid is the way that the advertising agency is changing. So advertising is moving from they make one commercial and then they just play it generally to they make so many options of varying commercials because advertising has become targeted. So it's so crazy when they get into it. So if you are a single mom, then the unicorn insurance commercial for you as a single mom is going to feature a mom with kids. If you are a single person who owns dogs, then your commercial, which could be almost exactly the same commercial, is going to feature that mom, but with dogs instead of kids. And so there's a lot to be discussed about what equals a new commercial and what's not a commercial. Also, formats of commercials. So, Instagram, Facebook versus television versus like before your movie. All those have different time requirements. That's what the edit is about. The edit is our way of keeping up with the change in advertising. And so we are changing the way that we allow edits in commercials because commercial edits is becoming the way in which advertising is changed. So I just want you guys to know that. I think it's really important information. And if you have anyone who's talking about that, just know that's what that is. Okay, I love you.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
One of the things I really want to talk with you about on like what Audrey wants to know from you level. Okay, so I had a year or two that went really great. I had a lot of success with Godless, which was really fun. And I went to the Emmys this last year.
I know, I saw you because Audrey is very good about posting her victories and posting her process and allowing us all to share in that and with social media, which is a whole different conversation. So you're at the Emmys for Godless.
So I'm at the Emmys for Godless. And okay, I had this whole experience after all of this stuff, which I'd love to talk to you about, like in general, like the publicity and all the stuffy stuff, right? And I just had this realization of like, oh, I see what we're doing here. Like, and I know this is going to sound way more jaded than I mean it to be, you guys. I basically was like, oh, we're at a commercial. I could just see, all the taglines that go through the carpet of like so-and-so's dressed by so-and-so and this thing and that thing. And then the degree to which, everyone really becomes a product, which again, I'm fine with. I'm like, listen, I love capitalism. I ain't got no problem. I love to shop. But I could just sort of see, and then going around the room and seeing like, I know so many of those actors personally, not just the ones from my show, but from so many of the shows, right? It's a small industry. And I know like half of you are broke AF and you are sitting there in your golden crown. And I know you ain't got no money in that bank account, right? And so we're all sort of selling this image. And by the way, it's an expensive endeavor. I mean, I'm going to share, I shared on my Emmys podcast, Emmy weekend ended up costing me $3,500.
Wow.
Netflix did give us a like allowance, which I,
a grooming stipend?
Yeah. I forget what it's called, but it's, a stipend. Okay. Yeah. A beauty budget. I think that's what it's called. And so, glam budget, a glam budget. And so I'm including that in the cost. So $1,500 of the $3,500 I didn't have to pay for, but I just want you guys to know like how much it costs in general. Right. So then I'm sitting there and I can just sort of see, and then I have to say I had like a real, a crisis of consciousness of like what are we doing? Because it seemed to me like we're all going to these parties to show that we're special so that these networks can sell the show to get advertising money so that then newspapers and online magazines can then take photos of us so that then they can post it so that then they can reap the revenue. And so at the end of the day, I'm spending $3,500 so that they can sell their show.
Yes.
And so that they can sell their magazine. And again, fine with it. I really am fine with it. I just like to know the game I'm actually playing before I play it, right? And so I wonder if you can talk to me about what I had as my kind of crisis of conscience. And then I was like, well, I really just want to do the work. So like, in order to do the work, if I have to do all this to then get the opportunities to then do the work, but I'm still broke because I'm spending all of my money to get the opportunities to go to all these things to then do the work, then really what is the value if I'm at the end of the day, I'm still broke because I'm spending all my money to just play at this game versus not doing any of it.
Right.
And then you're just going to go and do acting in whatever fuck town you're going to do, which there are really incredible towns with really great players and doing the work there. And I just realized like, oh, that's an option that I think a lot of people should take.
It's absolutely an option because I think you get into diminishing returns, and you talk about that depression that can hit in, because especially at an event like that, you quickly realize it's high school and there is a hierarchy, and if you're not part of the senior cool kid crowd, Entertainment Tonight doesn't want to interview you.
No, they so
and you can be on an Emmy-nominated show. But I'll talk very specifically about me.
Sure.
I'm number 5 on the call sheet of a show that I'm not the lead of. I'm not the lead's girlfriend, and I'm not part of the characters that used to be on Breaking Bad.
Right.
I'm a guy that most people know as that guy who I think I went to high school with, but it turns out actually I was on Saved by the Bell, and I was on Desperate Housewives, and on a Disney film.
Yes.
So that's who I am. I'm thrilled to be there because I get to see my heroes who I've been watching on TV. But the first time I went to the Emmys, I got and for men, I got a nice suit.
Yes.
Somebody picked out a suit for me that cost them nothing, and I got a stipend from AMC as well. And I also got a publicist. I've used a publicist for a couple of times.
Great.
And that's a business decision because, to your point, I'm on a show that has a high profile. I'm going to a high profile award ceremony that the show is nominated for. My job, at least the way I look at it, is to lay the groundwork for the next job.
Right.
And laying the groundwork for the next job for me at my age and doing what I've done for a while is to change perceptions that I'm not the guy that you went to high school with, and I'm not the guy who we know from that, or, Patrick's a really good auditioner, or he's this or that. I want people to think, and when I say people, I mean casting directors, writers, and directors, and producers out there. I want creatives to go like, Patrick's part of Better Call Saul, and they will assign to me a quality that I may or may not have, but I will take. But I will take that because for 20-some years of no's and not getting stuff, I will take that now. And part of stacking the deck, and my favorite at this point, is spending money on a publicist
who pushes that out.
There. So
capitalizes on this curve
I'll wear
momentum.
an Armani suit and I'll tag them on Instagram, and maybe they'll retag it. And what does that really do? I don't know. It's drops. It's pissing in the ocean. I don't know if it raises the sea level or not. But what if there is somebody out there who's scrolling their feed and likes Armani and all of a sudden sees me and they go, I know that's I went to high school with that guy. And then they go, it's actually Patrick Fabian. He's on that show. I like that. He's that. And that lodges in your brain.
Right.
And then they're casting something or thinking about something, and just I happen to float in the matrix of maybe we should call that guy in.
Right. Or even in addition to that, because you have that momentum, hopefully that's happening on that side of whatever the social world is, but also then your reps can be like, and see, here he was in People magazine from such and such. I think that's hopefully the value of publicity is going twofold. People are like reading People magazine, or they're watching the Today Show, or they're doing whatever they are. And so you have like an arc that, you have a presence of the moment that seems like he is a somebody. And then in addition to, hopefully you have a team that is also capitalizing on that and being like, Patrick, he's in Better Call Saul, and here, he just did whatever all the things he just did.
Here's at the Special Olympics.
Here he is at an article and the such and such, and
And ask me if it's worked in my benefit.
Has it worked in your benefit?
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I'm so glad you said that, because people say that to me. They're like, is it worth it? And I'm always like, I feel too early to call. But I will say, and I do say this to them, I will say that going in for an audition, whereas, the voices we were talking about, right? Whereas normally I might have the voices come in of like, they're going to go somewhere else. They're going to go with somebody else who's got like a better...
It's not me.
Yeah, who's going to have like a better resume or more whatever, or they're going to go older, or they're going to be... And that the one voice that I feel currently at this moment, in this month, at this date and time, given... what I've been able to do in that arena is I feel they've looked at my IMDb, and I look professional. I look like I've had like a certain notch of success that I know that if I were to book the role and actresses who audition for it were to then look at my IMDb as I do all of them, that they would be like, I get it. They would be like, she's like went to the Emmys, like she's
right. They see like that and they go like, right.
It gives a sense of it gives a sense, whether legitimate or not, of legitimacy that I now feel can calm a little bit of that actor voice down. Of, is it really? Am I like, can I compete at this level? I feel like no. The producers will IMDb me. They'll look at my package and they'll be able to go like, just in a quick glance. Oh, she's legitimate.
In a quick glance, they'll say, "Oh, I didn't know she was on Godless," which they haven't watched, but they talk about the having watched because nobody watches everything.
No, nobody watches everything.
So they go, "Oh, Godless, that was nominated, wasn't it?" And so does that get her in the room? Maybe. And you have no way of really knowing.
I don't, but it also, I can't control whether it gets me in the room. In that sense, all I can control and where it seems to have value of me in the current moment is, all right, so I've done that and I can't go into this room with that insecurity right now of like, I don't deserve to be here, or there's somebody else here who has a better package of representing themselves than I do. Like, I know that is done.
Yeah.
And so that's valuable to me. Is it as valuable as all the money I spent on it? I'm not sure. To be determined, but
to be continued. But it is a part of the business. Look, if you're on social media and you're tweeting and you're Instagramming and you're Facebooking, you are acting as your own publicist basically, and there is a component that is important about that. I still, in the end, you've got to know how to act.
Yes.
And in the end, you have to know how to audition.
Right.
Because you can be social media'd out and you can have the prettiest dresses and suits in the world. But in the end, when the rubber meets the road and they say action, you have to have your shit together.
Well, I have a couple of lists of questions.
Sure.
That I'm like really excited about. Okay. Just give them a brief snippet of how long you have been actively pursuing acting.
Started in high school. I went to undergraduate school for acting. I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts at Penn State. And then I came out to California and got a Master of Fine Arts at Cal State Long Beach. Armed at 22 with a master's degree in acting.
Yes.
And got to Los Angeles and nobody cared.
That story hasn't changed.
No, it hasn't changed at all. So I started waiting tables because that story hasn't changed.
That hasn't changed.
And then I did what I was told to do out of school, which was I found theater groups. I found places to work.
Good.
First of all, you got to pay your rent. I don't know how you do it, but you have to do it. That's job one. And then you have to, most people have not chosen this.
Yeah.
You've chosen an extra career on top of a career until that career can take over.
Ooh, say that again. Say that again, because I think that what I'm always saying to actors is what you don't realize is you are self-financing your own future business.
Absolutely. So you basically have two jobs. Your first job is to exist.
Right.
Pay your rent, feed yourself, clothe yourself. However you do that is great.
Yeah.
And hopefully it doesn't take too much time out of the day, but usually it takes a lot.
Yeah.
And then you have another career, and that other career is the career that you want to eventually replace, the thing that puts food on your table.
That's right.
And so you're working double time, and most people aren't.
Yes.
And so therefore, when everyone wants to go to Tahoe this weekend or out for drinks or stay a little bit late, I'm not saying don't have fun and don't live.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you've made a different choice.
Right.
And you need to honor that and be responsible for it because, again, people aren't going to really necessarily support that.
Well,
another actor, who needs that? Well, if you do, then you need to take care of yourself when it comes to that.
Yeah, I mean, I talked with an actress about that, and she was saying that she had moved to Atlanta to get some credits, and then she worked at this restaurant for a time while she was there, and she said, she just, she didn't make any friends over at the restaurant. And I was like, I was the same way. She said, because... not for nothing, that's not what I'm there for. And I said I was the same way. And I said, for better, for worse, I know that I think people thought I was a stuck-up bitch about it, which I wasn't. I was trying to be I was just focused. And the people in my restaurant life, I was only at the restaurant to be making money at the restaurant.
If I lost my waiting tables job, I'd go find another waiting tables job.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I wasn't there to stay there. I wasn't going to be there for 5 years or 10 years. And I saw people there.
People would ask me about that. They would ask me how I can manage being at this restaurant, having a restaurant job, and not let it crush me. And what one of my friends said, he said, what's so remarkable about you in the restaurant? And I said, why? He said, it's because you clearly have no fear that this is going to be your permanent reality. Everyone else there is there and scared that this is it for them, and you are like, oh no, this is only for the time being,
right?
Just for as long as it needs to be here.
And I was told coming out of school as well, 5 to 7 years out of school, once you've decided, you've decided to be an actor.
Yeah,
great.
right.
So I was told between 5 and 7 years after getting out and doing all the things you're supposed to do, you should start to see a payment. Yes. Not a steady paycheck, but you should get paid for your acting maybe at that point. And they were my professors were like, about maybe 8 years into it, if you really aren't making $1 and don't have an agent and can't, maybe you ought to start to consider something else within the business.
Yeah, right.
But their whole attitude was like, you got to run down that hallway first as hard as you can. Yeah, and with enthusiasm and fun and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's what I tell people is like, this is supposed to be a good time. Like, because here's the thing. If I wanted to be miserable in my job, I would go choose a job where I would make a lot more steady, consistent income. Like, looking at you, looking at me, like, we could make bank in any other profession. Like, we would just walk in and be like, hey, I'm awesome. Who wants to throw money at me? And we could make bank, but we don't do that. We chose this profession. Yeah. And so if you're going to choose this profession with a 97% unemployment rating, then you better enjoy it and enjoy the ride to the degree which you candidate. And I'm not telling you to be like a Pollyanna about it. Like, it's hard. Be honest with yourself when it's a hard time. Like you said, take a nap, do something for yourself. Patrick is like biking all day, every day across America. So if you got a bike for 90 miles, like, go for it. Whatever it is that keeps your attitude up and your endorphins in, you do it. But at the end of the day, this should be an enjoyable life. Being involved in the union, can you tell me 3 or 4 contract things, whether they're safety or money or something? I know we've had a little conversation about it, that you have learned that you need to look out for as an actor.
Oh, always, no matter when you're working, and this includes when you go to auditions, when you go to union auditions, always sign in your time, always sign out, and always sign the date, and take a picture of it.
Yes, and if it's an audition, I've told you guys this before, you get paid more money if the audition and commercials goes over time if you simply put your social security number down or your SAG ID number.
Yes.
If you leave that off, you get like, I think $40. And if you put it in, I think you get like $90. So also write it in pen.
Write it in pen so they can't.
Because you're going to go and they all have pencils out there for you.
Yeah.
Don't ask somebody, do you have a pen? Carry a pen on you?
Carry a pen.
Because they will erase that shit.
What are you coming with the audition? Come prepared.
Right.
Come prepared with water, pens, mints,
mints,
asprin, a power bar, right?
Please, yes.
Yeah. Don't assume it's going to be a cafe there.
No.
That's one thing. Second thing, same idea. If you find yourself on set with a job, that's great. Take a picture when you sign in and sign out of that call sheet.
That's everything.
It's everything because it's your only proof. And that's a great, again, to the writing down stuff. Instead of, you can put it in your phone or whatever. But log in what your day is to remind yourself, because you're going to forget.
Yeah, right.
So put it in your calendar.
Yes.
Today I worked. I got up at 7. I was on set at 9. I was released at 7.
Yes, because here's the thing. Accounting will fuck it up, not because they're bad people, because they're slammed, okay? And I can't tell you, I have worked more than one job where I have kept a hold of my hours and what I believed I should be getting paid. Compare that to the check that I got. I have called accounting, gotten my money, and I'm telling you, thousands
of dollars. Me too.
Thousands of dollars being course corrected.
And this goes back to the idea of being responsible and taking care of yourself. Right. Now that you've got the job, it's moving and shaking. There's a lot going on. So you need to be accountable for your own stuff of what's going on, your work and everything that's happening.
Right. You would not have your job at an office, work 40 hours, and then be okay that you're only getting paid 30 hours. You would never do that. You would never do that. It's the same
thing. It's that fear-based thing of like, oh, I don't want to make waves. It's not about making waves. And that's why when you have a union behind you and you're working a union job, you can call them. They can weigh in for you and stuff like that. But there's a
and you know what they don't want?
They don't want the union calling them.
They would rather die than have SAG-AFTRA
calling them. They don't want SAG-AFTRA calling them and stuff like that. So it's best to sort of like work through that on that.
Okay, more questions. Okay, so you have this magnificent family. Can you tell me how you manage to balance family and career? And here's why I want this question. I have so many actors who are actor moms, actor dads, and the struggle between supporting a family as an actor, maybe the support or lack of support or burning out support of said spouse, whether you're a male or a female.
How long are you going to keep at this? We have children now. Time to grow up.
Time to grow up. And the pressure of maybe, mother-in-law, father-in-law, your own parents. And especially those first 5 years where the attention given to the children is really intense. So tell them how many kids you have, their ages, and your experience in the growth of that.
Well, this is folded into something else that I'm going to talk about real quick.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to be, well, I am here to be a bit of a dad on this one. I am not here to tell you how to live your life. And I want you to go have a good time and you want to get your party on. That's great. I myself couldn't handle it. And I found myself, I'm an alcoholic and I got sober at the age of 40. So I never stayed at a party late and got a job. That much I know.
Yes.
I never went drinking out with people and then all of a sudden landed a job, but it certainly hurt me the next day. That's my own experience.
Yes.
And so for me, I had to get rid of it. Along the way, I've gone with and grown up with many talented people who are no longer with us and or have pissed their careers away. We've seen all those stories from burnouts and stuff like that. So for me, I had a transformative year in when I was 40 because I was sort of bottomed out in many, many ways. I was working in spite of myself. So that happened. And so I got sober, which was great. And then I thought, well, I'll never work again now because I'm not an artist anymore.
Right.
Right. And now I'm not cool and edgy. And so therefore nothing's really going to happen for me. It turned out I had a school education and about 15 years of work under my belt. So I actually had a muscle that just was a little dormant, but got to be moved on. I meet a woman and it makes sense. And we get married. And then all of a sudden we have 2 kids. Boom, boom. My kids are now 6 and 8. And along the way, I thought, how am I going to pay for a kid? I could barely pay for myself. How could I afford a house? I can't afford that. And financial fear, just like the fear of am I ever going to get another job, go hand in hand. What I found in myself is that by having a kid, all of a sudden my focus deliberately and decidedly goes towards that child. So when I had moments for auditions, I was able to sort of not spend 48 hours thinking about me, and that 5 minutes I'm going to have in the room. And I was a little more freed up. And what I discovered was that I had a shorthand all of a sudden for that list that Audrey's talking about that she has, that I have. That list didn't have to take me 8 hours to do. That list all of a sudden became like, oh, I've only got 4 hours. Wham. Sit down, buckle down, focus. We're going to work on this. Do I get the job? I don't know. Again, it's out of my hands. It always has been. All I can do is show them that I know this. And what I found is that with the less focus and the less commitment, completely and fully self-involved.
The self-absorption.
Which, by the way, doesn't mean I'm not a narcissist. I certainly am. It's very healthy and strong. But it was dialed back a bit, and I found myself very free in auditions, and I found things getting a little greased. I had a run all of a sudden where it felt like I was booking a lot, but I also felt like I was auditioning freely, not ill-prepared, but I was much more free in the room. And part of that was because there was a focus outside of the room where I'm like, well, I still have to go back and pick up my kid and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying if you have children, you're going to have a career, but I am saying the balance between it has been very healthy for me because my kids don't care whether I book work. My kids don't care whether I'm on TV or at the Emmys or whether I got that sitcom or whether I got that thing on FX. And there's a deliberative energy focus that gets pulled away from myself that allowed me to be better. And to realize that maybe your life as an artist isn't predicated on being the cover of People magazine. And that I could be a success as a human being an artist who's going to auditions and, you know, finding parking and changing clothes in your car. And still having a kid. And my wife, what do? Who picks up the kid? Well, sometimes I had to see if I can move my audition. Sometimes I had to say, I can't make it. Oh my God, is that the audition that was going to make me Brad Pitt? I had to get over that. You know? And so it becomes this full life for me. Now, I know there's people maybe who are like, well, you're on a series and you've got this, and of course it's a full life.
But that
and you know what? That didn't happen
until after.
No, I had 2 kids staring at the ceiling of a house. I never bought a house. And my wife and I made the leap when we got a house, and I'm staring at the ceiling and going, oh my God, I have a mortgage and the phone hasn't rang and I haven't had an audition in 2 weeks. What choice did I make? And then the phone rang and I had an audition, and what did I do? I didn't do anything new. I got my list out, and what do I do when I have an audition? I did that thing. And I've been able to work it out. The fears that I had when I was single and didn't have kids are the same fears narcissistically. And sometimes they get exponentially blown up because I go, oh, what about my kids? But guess what? People have been having kids for a very long time and they haven't been actors and they've been laid off from their jobs and they've been waiters and they've been this, and the kids don't care.
Yeah, right.
The kids just want to have the time and attention when you can give them time and attention, is my feeling. My wife's also in the business. She's a writer-director, so she understands crazy. And she understands, oh, I know we said we were going to do that. Now we can't because I have a callback.
Sure.
Or this thing just came up. And so that's helpful for me. But I also know many people who, when you have two artists in the house, it's just loco bananas.
Yeah,
and nobody wants that.
Right,
so whatever your situation is, you sort of make it work.
Yeah, I love that. It rings true to what I hear from a lot of actor parents, which is it gets you out of your own way.
Gets you out of your own way. And then I go like, oh, I should have had kids 20 years ago.
Sure,
or
right.
I go, and I'll go back to this again because I am a dad and I believe in this very firmly. I wish I hadn't allowed drinking and drugs to take up as much of my life and my creative energy in my 20s and 30s. Who knows what would have happened?
Yes.
Maybe I would have been on Friends if I wasn't hungover.
Right.
And by the way, I say that not knowing if I was hungover for that audition or not.
Right.
But it's a pretty good bet that I maybe was because I was for a while.
Yeah.
And so for any of you out there who go, I'm not saying don't have your party on and don't do your thing. Although I am going to say don't smoke cigarettes. You're out of your mind if you're still doing that.
You're out of your fucking mind. I so agree.
Yeah. But in terms of that, I'm really not here to judge you on that. I am to say I'm speaking to anybody out there who has the thought float through their brain that, I'm sick and tired of behaving like this, or how did that get away from me again? Or, I let that opportunity pass me by because I thought I was going to go do this thing. If that's out there for you, I would suggest you address it. Yeah. I waited way too long, but got lucky and addressed it in time enough to save my life.
Yeah.
And that's just it doesn't matter what job you're in this country or in the world, that's out there.
But wait, Patrick, wait. You're so handsome, but I have to interrupt you.
Help me. I need some help.
And now it's time for listener questions.
I'm so scared.
This listener question is brought to you by WeAudition.com. That's WeAudition.com. Hashtag self-tape May. Don't forget, promo code Audrey25. You're going to get the sides. You're going to start Monday, May 6th. There's going to be prizes. Go to Audrey Helps Actors on Instagram. If you're not on the gram, you got to join for this competition. Self-tape May. WeAudition.com, 25% off, promo code Audrey25. All right, so here's the story. I want to do a little moment about scams. Psych, this isn't a listener question. This is a just reminder and heads up about scams. So those of you who follow me on Instagram know I posted this crazy article from Deadline. SAG-AFTRA pulls franchise of Jordan McCarahan talent agency. So I want you guys to take this as a lesson about Anastasia's episode, a reminder about your reps paying you on time. Now, if you are non-union, I want you to remember there is nobody looking out to see when you get paid and when you don't get paid. You're kind of SOL on that. And it is very common for non-union jobs to take 6 months to pay you. Now, that's why I recommend, one of the many reasons I recommend being union. But if you're union and your checks aren't coming to you, I need you not to wait until it's been $30,000 that you're missing that you start to realize you have a problem. I need you from check 1 to start following your checks. So listen to me, you guys. I am begging you. I am begging you to save yourselves from being stolen from anyone, but especially your agents. The moment you get the job, I want you to think about tracking your payment. So once you finish shooting, I want you to wait 14 days. I don't need them to be business days. Just wait 14 days total. Wait 2 weeks. I want you to write it on your calendar, and I want you to call production. And I want you to ask production, say, hi, can I be transferred to accounting? Great. Hi, I'd like to just check and see about my payment. I worked a job 2 weeks ago, and I just want to make sure that the check went out. Oh, great. The check did go out? Awesome. Can you tell if it's been cashed for me or not? It has been cashed? Great. Can I get the check number? Awesome. Thank you so much. And then I want you to contact your agent and say, hey, how are you? Everything's super great over here. Just talked to production. The checks went out, so I just wanted to make sure that you got it. And if your agents are like, no, I didn't get it, and say, because they said that it was cashed, so I just want to make sure somebody weird didn't randomly cash the check. Here's the check number if you'll check with accounting. And then they'll come back and be like, oh, actually, I'm so sorry. It was cashed. I'm like, great. I'm actually going to be in the neighborhood next week and I will go ahead and pick it up. That's something that you can do just to let them know that you're on top of your checks. you're not accusing anyone of stealing. You're just letting people know that you're on top of your accounting. And if anyone gets snooty or crazy with you and is like, blah, 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 like, you need to stop bugging me, blah, 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 that's never a good sign. Professional people understand that you are looking to get paid, and they're also really used to actors being hard up for cash. So I just, please, guys, please, 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 please follow your money, track your money. No need to be obnoxious. Just be professional. It's your money. Go get it. All right. Again, I love you.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
So moving on to our fantastic list of questions. Okay. So you have created your own project. You had a movie.
Oh, Driver X.
Oh my God.
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
So I want you to talk about, have you ever created a project before?
No, but to be fair, this is Henry Burial's project, but I was there at the ground level.
Well, I guess that's what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. I was there from its inception.
Right.
So yeah.
So yeah, you helped create a project.
I did actually.
Okay, good. So take the win. All right, great.
Oh my God, right. Thank you.
Right
oh
away.
my God, can I just say thank you? Oh
You're
my
welcome.
God.
Okay, good. So I would like for you, just whatever little, we talk a lot to actors all the time about creating their own projects. So I'd like for you to just give any little, anything that was maybe a surprise to you that you learned along the way, anything that you wish somebody had told you about the process that you would like to pass on to other people.
This goes to the mindset I think that you talked about earlier of, you got to the Emmys and you're like, it's, I see behind the curtain. This is not exactly what I thought it was going to be. And I've arrived, and yet I'm not sure I like the destination. I got to make a movie that I got to be the lead of. And the reality was it was just like putting together a show and putting together a scene and putting together all the stuff that we've done in class and stuff like that on a bit of a larger level. But in the end, here's it. No one's going to make me the lead of a movie, like a big feature. CAA is not calling for me at this point in my career. If they want to and want to turn me into a movie star, which can still happen, that would be great.
Yeah,
but
you're here.
I've been here since I was 22 years old.
Yeah, right.
I didn't get that tap. I didn't have that show, or for whatever reason, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So the friend who who I played beach volleyball with, Henry Burial, he's a writer and director. He ended up having to drive Uber, and he started writing a movie about it. And he had a producer, Mark Stolaroff, who does the no budget film school. And they've made movies before together for not much money. And when I say not much money, I mean less than $150,000. And so we came up with this idea, and we started talking about it. And then it was about an Uber driver, much like Henry's life and much like my life, being on the wrong side of 50 with kids and being freelance artists and wondering what next and what do we do. And so he wrote it, and then we did a Kickstarter for it, and then we ended up shooting it, a low budget affair, probably about 19, 20 days all in. It was about $130,000. We did a Kickstarter for it. I had never been a part of that. I'm like, I thought movies and shows were made by NBC and Paramount, and then they just came down from
the castle and
they touched you with a wand.
Right.
And instead, this was like, oh no, we talked about this. We sat in my house. Henry went away and wrote it. And then we did a Kickstarter. We filmed it in Los Angeles. We tried to stack the deck in our favor by saying, hey, I've been on TV and these guys made movies, and will you give us money? And we used the internet, and we raised about $40,000.
Right.
And then we went out to investors and said, hey, we've got this thing. And the guy from Better Call Saul's the lead. And does that help? I don't know. Did it move the needle? But we got some investors. And all I know for sure is that, this fall, I flew to New York City at the IFC Film Center, and then back here to Los Angeles, Santa Monica, and Audrey was there.
I was.
And I had full houses, and I walked into the movie theater just like I did in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania when I was a kid. And in the silver squares that has the poster, there was a poster with my face on it. And it said Driver X, Patrick Fabian. And then we went into the theater, and the lights went down, and then on the screen came up, and just like I saw Sean Connery when I was a young kid, or Harrison Ford, there I was, walking across the screen in a movie that I'm very proud of the work. And I was like, oh, you get to be a movie star tonight.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? Yeah. And that is a DIY project. And we shot it with a skeleton crew.
I love that.
People weren't paid a whole lot, but it was done union, I'll tell you that.
Sure was.
And it was an ultra low budget film. And we put it together, and we called in favors of our friends. Yeah. I play a driver in the film. It's Driver X. You can get it on iTunes. And you can follow us on Driver X movie on Twitter.
So many, can I just say about it? What I love so much about it is all of the moments you gave to all of the actors in the movie.
And so many actors that we know, right?
Yes.
So many actors we go like, oh, I know that guy.
Yes.
I know that girl.
Yes, right.
And those are people who we auditioned and also people that we knew, who we worked with. And we'd call up and say,
I loved it.
do you want to come work for $100 tonight?
Really,
it's
truly.
in the middle of the evening. It's
Right,
like 3 a.m.
right.
is your call time.
Right.
But you'll be out by 5.
Yeah, right. And really, truly, when you guys watch it, you'll see doing really beautiful work. I mean, everyone's characters, everyone's heart, everyone's uniqueness coming through so much. I mean, I think I told you this, but my feeling about it was like a poem. Like the movie was like a poem with each little bit kind of being like a stanza in a poem about a particular kind of person, a particular kind of world. And every actor, I was so excited for them, for the ability to play and be able to create such interesting characters.
Well, I think that Henry wrote a really nice script, but we also had actors who were willing to play. People came with their homework done, their lines memorized, and so therefore we were unencumbered with the technical aspects of that, and we were allowed to play and do our scenes. And you know, it was really great. And that sort of ended. It's going to end up on Hulu eventually.
Great.
But I can point to it and say it's there and it's out there. It did not get nominated for an Independent Spirit Award.
Right,
it was not. I didn't get to sing with Lady Gaga at the Oscars.
Right.
But I got to be a movie star. It took 27 years to sort of have that happen.
Yeah.
And maybe it wouldn't have happened. But now in this day and age with the phones and the cameras and the stuff that's out there, the ability to actually have that happen,
I think that's so
much
great.
more within your grasp. You don't have to wait for somebody to come down to tell you to do it.
Yeah.
We decided to do it.
Yeah.
And we did it.
And you did it.
So honestly,
And
if we
most
can
of them
do it,
don't get done. And so I think like you did it. And what I love is you saying it was kind of like a DIY. Like if you guys are spending all this time like making your scrapbook, how about instead of making your scrapbook, like spend some time making a movie?
write a script,
Yeah,
write a short. I just watched the Oscars the other night, and Jamie
those
Ray
two,
Newman
I know.
won the short.
I know, I
And
can't.
worked with Jamie Ray.
So
she
great.
played my wife. I was her husband.
Yeah.
She was a murderess, by the way, and she made me end up murdering somebody on Veronica Mars back in, I don't know, was that 13 years ago?
Yeah, I love that.
And they announced her name, and she got up there, and I was like, well, looky there. I haven't seen Jamie Ray in a while, but I've seen her work.
Yes, right.
And I couldn't do anything but be so happy for her
So
success
happy.
and watch, I was like, well, isn't that funny? Jamie Ray just got an Oscar.
And she got an Oscar, and they've already are turning it into a feature film.
So I'm like,
Yeah,
what did they
that's
do?
awesome.
Oh, they took it into their own hands
They sure did.
and made something happen. And I was
Yeah.
like, right, she stacked the deck in her favor
She did over time.
over time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
With relationships, like I said, relationships over time, good, hard work, right? Okay. I wanted to take this opportunity as you're sitting now with, these years in your career, looking backward, if there's anything that you would like to say to me, either that you think I should know or that you think, some perspective on like the time I am in my career versus, where I'll be in 10, 20 years, anything like that?
I guess what I admire about you and what I'm jealous of is the way you have taken control of what you can take control of and made it into a practical sort of like, well, what can I do? How can I stack the deck in my favor? And you really go above and beyond sort of doing that. And I think that was something that I was much more like, and I think many of us are, well, it's magic.
Right.
It's just going to happen.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to do something and someone's going to see me and then I'm going to have a show. And there's no real thought of like, there's a day-to-day steps of to put yourself in the position to have that happen. Because I think the magic happens by putting yourself in the position to have that happen. And the worst thing that happens is that the magic doesn't happen, but you end up having a nice career and you work in the business in the arts, which is a rare thing to begin with.
In this whole world.
And it might not make you rich, but you're not going to necessarily get rich anywhere else either. So I'm like, so for your limited time on the planet, I'm a big fan of like following your heart until it breaks too much, I guess the only thing I'd say is to embrace and enjoy all the aspects that are there and to not judge the aspects that are just part and parcel of your business, because you're not necessarily responsible for them, nor are you the poster child of them.
Sure. I love that.
You know?
Yeah, I so agree with that sentiment. And I think that's part of why I do this podcast is I really feel that if somebody had sat me down before the Emmys and been like, okay,
this is
Audrey,
what's going to be like.
I just want you to know what to expect. It's like everyone's getting married. So everyone is panicked. And it's just sort of the general, because it's not just your career that's having its great day. Your reps are having a great day for themselves in your career, and your publicist and your stylist. Like everyone is sort of like having a big moment that day. Just I can only compare it to a wedding. You know, it's like everyone's sort of heightened about this moment for you, and then except like it's you and like 500 other people all getting married together.
Wait,
right?
There's another bride
here?
Right?
And everyone's like, but I want to wear the best dress, but I'm in the best dress, right? It's like this heightened emotional thing that you've dreamed of for your entire life. And I feel pretty much like I try to be prepared for what I can be prepared for. And then if I can't prepare for it, I just always wish that somebody else would have been like, hey, just like FYI, this is kind of how this experience goes down. And I know that I wasn't alone in that. I talked to other actors who had been there for the first time, and they had the exact same experience of like, wow, that was weirdly more intense and emotional than I thought it was going to be. I can only say, like how I imagine most people feel when they get married, it's like a little bit more emotional than maybe they thought it was going to be, right? Because the stakes seem high.
And then yet the next day,
you're a normal fucking person.
And you're like, wait, what happened?
100%.
What
I just spent all that money. What happened? I'm still a normal person.
Second.
Right?
Wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I so hear you. And I mean, I am doing an episode on the Emmys, which I'm excited about, that is just going to like tell people, I think, like what it is, like what actually is to expect. And I love that we're in a business that does a career where then people hold an award show for it. Like, I think that's awesome. Sure. Like, there's not a lot of award show that anyone cares about for other careers, but ours is one of them, and that's really cool. So yeah, I just wish I had a little bit of like a heads up, just so you know, it's maybe going to be like this. Yeah. Because if you were getting married or something like that, there are thousands of magazines and articles and stuff to read and to look through if you're having a child or whatever that can tell you some things to expect or to look out for that maybe are going to happen.
And this is still the great mystery.
It is the great mystery. And I'm fine with lying to middle America about what it is. I'm fine with it. I get the game that we're playing, but to each other, with our own community, I'd like just a little bit more transparency and exposure.
I hear you.
Right?
Yeah.
Great. Do you have any questions for me?
Well, this is coming up in the Me Too era as well. Because let's face it, I'm a white guy, 54. I came in the business when I was still hot.
And staying hot for a long time.
For a long time. Yeah. And so things have changed, and I think with absolutely a good way.
Yeah.
But the reality is, in my bones and experience, pilot season was just a series of, well, it's a bunch of white guys having problems and maybe a pretty girl or two.
Yes,
and there was like 40 or 100 of those pilots.
Yes,
and now that's changed. Yes. In the landscape, have you found, how do you find sexism both in the audition room and once you're on set? And do you find it? Do you find misogyny and sexism?
It's interesting. I would say partly because I think I'm very tall. I don't get treated the way that most of my female actresses
so weirdly
get
arbitrary,
treated.
But I could see that.
Yeah, because I literally look down at most of the men in our business, like quite literally.
Wow.
And also, Jesse says that I'm clearly very comfortable with humiliating people. Like I don't have a thing on that. And one of the slogans right now is women fear for their safety and men fear for their pride. And I'm so clearly a person that if somebody behaves a certain way to me, I'm very quick to be like, what? In a way that I mean, when I was at the restaurant industry, I know like men would not often, but like once or twice a coworker would act a certain way to me. And I would say, do you need lunch? And they were so horrified. And I was like, are you hungry? Like, do you need food? Do you want me to order you food? I'll go get you food.
Wow.
And it's so disarming.
Sure.
Because I wasn't upset with him. Because I so rarely get treated that way, I could see like, this isn't me. Like, I'm not doing something here. So like, are you hungry? Can I make you a sandwich? Which is my usual MO for men in a grumpy mood. Like, do you need a sandwich? But I think the things that I do notice are a little bit more systemic. And first of all, I'm really keenly aware of the fact that I don't think people are hiring more women right now because they think that we're suddenly deserving or they think that we are worth it. I think that it's because men are actually a financial liability right now. That when you put a successful male actor in a huge show like they did with, Jeremy Piven, and they, pumped so much money out of his new doctor show and it was going to be the good everything. And then they had to take it all down. And I think there are so many instances right now where that is the case, whether it's somebody in front of the camera or behind the camera, that they're quite literally a financial liability.
Did you read Emma Thompson's letter?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
How eloquent.
I mean, who's smarter than her, though, right?
And how spot on.
So spot on.
Because part of me was trying to go like, well, I was immediately trying to park the car in the driveway still.
Sure, right.
And she was like, no. No. And it's going to be hard.
Yes.
But I want to do this, but I'm not. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh, right. I have daughters too. Exactly.
That's exactly it, right?
That's right. This is how you do it.
This is how you do it.
It's taken centuries of this attitude.
Right.
And I'm also, look, I won't say that I'm not part of the problem as well in my own thinking, in my own upbringing,
well,
right?
And that's the thing is understanding too that it is systemic and to not, I'm such a huge fan, particularly as actors, empathy, understanding, graciousness.
Right.
People are rarely bad people. They just have ways of thinking based on systems that were set up for them. And if they had a different system set up, as you can see from any other culture who has a completely different way of thinking, they have that different way of thinking because this culture had set them up to think that way. Mm-hmm. It's not magic. It's just sort of the way it goes based on a bunch of different factors and circumstances over time. So I would say that. I would say I follow all the pilots and stuff very religiously. And I have noticed, particularly in the case of diversity, that they cast diverse initially and then post that shit on deadline. And then they recast later and they replace them.
Oh, boy, I haven't followed that. Oh, that's crazy.
And that's pretty impressive. Also, it doesn't matter if you make a bunch of pilots with women and a bunch of pilots with people who are diverse.
But you don't pick them up.
But the only three that you pick up are still the same old white guys. Like that to me is like, okay, so like what's really, like where's the needle really changing? But I think right now the thing that I'm most becoming aware of with all of that, and it happened right when Hillary lost, is I had this moment of like, I call it my ugly purse moment because that's what it was. I had to go get a new purse. And I was like, gonna go get this really cute, expensive new purse. Expensive, like I was gonna get it at Ross, but it's like originally was really expensive.
Love Ross.
Love Ross. But instead, I was like, why the fuck am I getting this expensive ass, inconvenient fucking purse? Who told me I needed to do that? Like, why am I doing that? Like, literally, why am I doing that? And I have found this beige, but very functional, ugly ass purse. And I carried that purse until it fell apart, but it was so functional and so great. And I started to realize if we have time, energy, and money as our resources, and I'm spending a greater degree of that time, energy, and money of my resources into the requirements of being a woman in this business, then I am naturally going to have less time, energy, and money than a man is to put into the work of my career. Mm-hmm. Now, I do know that there are very valid arguments of like, well, I hear a lot of men are like, well, I would love to just like be really sexy and cute and then get into auditions. And I understand that to a point. I think there's a point to where just being good looking and being a female can like cross you through a certain...
It can open some doors without a doubt. Sure.
In the beginning, but to me in the beginning. But at the end of the day, I believe those people are still working hard in their hours, time, energy, and money to have that advantage, right? So then we get into like, if your casting isn't one of the exceptionally beautiful people, and you are spending as a woman time, energy, and money into fitting yourself,
trying to be that
in a way that's really not serving you, well, then you could be spending those hours of time, energy, and money into perhaps your craft, into perhaps writing something, creating something, or earning more money, or saving that money so that you could put it towards a better investment. If you're working less hours at a restaurant, to have more time, to have more energy, to do better at your actual acting job. You know, a guy can, as you said, take 15 minutes, put on the suit, and walk out the door. You know, those are things that I'm being consciously aware of right now.
Sure.
That's all.
Well, like you said, you have finite time, money, and resources. Where are you going to put it? And what you just said, I think, is make your auditions better, and you'll find more time.
Yeah.
Because ideally, then you get better jobs.
That's
jobs
right.
that pay better.
That's right.
And then you'll have elbow room. And then weirdly,
Yes.
the people who can afford it the most
Yes.
spend the least, because stuff is then given to them.
That's exactly right. And not only
so
that,
weird.
Putting those 5 hours in the gym feels more empowering because it's more immediate.
I'm doing
because
something.
you quite literally get immediate endorphins. When spending time on getting better at auditioning is, in my experience, quite humbling, really humiliating, a lot of confront, a lot of ego. It's fucking
Hard.
work that you don't immediately get to be like, and look, I just lost 5 pounds.
Right.
It's like, okay, social media, do you want to plug yourself?
Oh, yeah. You can follow me at Patrick Fabian on Twitter and Mr. Patrick Fabian on Instagram.
His Instagram is quite fantastic, you guys. Okay.
Yeah.
Why acting?
Why acting? Well, because I decided I wasn't going to be ridiculous and become a musician.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. No, it's true. I got the bug in high school. My dream was to be the first chair pit orchestra trombonist for a Broadway show.
Wow.
And then I did Anything Goes in high school. And I was like, oh, this sounds good too. So I decided I wanted to be an actor instead.
Yeah, good. What is the best part about the business for you?
The best part is I truly don't know what tomorrow holds.
Oh, isn't it
And
true?
tomorrow might be that metaphorical and that literal call that says, we have an audition for you. Oh, what's that? And I go about the business of what I do. And I go, and it becomes a job that, for instance, takes me to France for 6 months or 4 years, or a movie that takes me to Prague for the first time for 6 months, or a job that takes me to Atlanta that bestows finances on me that I didn't even think were attainable. And then my life becomes something different. And that all is tomorrow.
Yeah.
The beauty is that I get to live in today with the potential that might be out there.
Yeah, I love
I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to assign any emotion to it. But it might be,
It's
because
possible.
I am in a business in the arts where transformative things, either artistically or financial, are literally a day away.
Yes, I love that about it. What is the worst part about the business for you?
The worst part about the business is the way it makes me feel in terms of comparing myself to other people on a constant basis.
Yeah.
And I'm old enough to know that has no weight, and I'm still naive and artistic enough to sometimes believe that it does.
Like I said, it doesn't seem that anyone gets over that.
No, it brings out the worst qualities in me rather quickly.
What about other actors that you know with your same years of experience? I mean, is that something that you all share?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, the guys who I used to sit in the audition room with when I was in my 20s and go like, what the fuck is he doing here?
Yeah.
Or I'd get like, oh, they cast Steve.
All right.
You know, now I'm like, Steve, these are my kids. And he's showing me a picture of his kids. And so, like, for instance, they were all very excited for me, as much as you can be for someone. When I got Better Call Saul, I got lots of congratulations from my friends.
Yeah, see.
They're like, hey, you know, it was in that manner of like, fuck you. You know, and then after now we're going into season 5 of this, and my friends are genuinely like, congratulations, man.
Yeah, that's
and I also got this great thing from my friend the other day, who I think is a much better actor than me. But of course, the grass is always greener, right? So he goes, I just want to say to you, Patrick, he said, I've watched a lot of your shitty work for many, many years. He goes, and I think you're doing really good work, and I'm really happy for you. And he goes, and it gives me hope that it can happen for me. And I thought, oh, I didn't think I'd be in that position.
Oh, yeah.
And I go, oh, I am, but I'm looking elsewhere for my, can that happen for me? And I was like, right. And it goes to what I just said.
Yeah.
On the wrong side of 50, and I finally am an overnight success working on a show and playing in a sandbox that I didn't even know existed. So I woke up and I got a call and I went to go do this thing, and now I'm interviewing with you.
Yes.
And I get to meet you. And I'm like, oh, look what that key opened up that door. So it's exciting, and it's potential, and it's filled with fears and hope. It feels like I'm alive in all of the facets.
I feel that. Right.
And I'd prefer that to feeling dead.
Yeah, I so agree.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I do. I super do. And I say to people, like, there are people who are living, typical or lives who think like, gosh, you get to do something different every day for your job. And then you're like, I just want one day to look like the next,
I just want 22 on the air in a parking space, please.
Exactly. So the grass is always greener, you guys. Okay. What do you wish somebody had taught you or managed to get you to understand when you were just a wee babe entering this business?
Money.
Yes.
Do not live beyond your means. And another thing, it's not a straight line. It's a crooked line. Everyone has a very crooked line to get where they eventually think they're going to go, or where however they arrive.
Right.
And, and along that, it's like a crooked ladder, and you're either moving up the ladder or you're coming down the ladder. Right. And so don't be an asshole.
Yeah, don't be an asshole. I think that's so true. Okay, our last question is mildly interesting. This can be anything that you recommend, that you think about, that you just learned. What's mildly interesting?
What's mildly interesting? Eventually, the music you're listening to right now will be relegated to some sort of classic rock format.
It's so true.
And so no matter how cool or hip you think you are, you will become exactly me. And you'll be buying milk because you have children, perhaps. It'll be 5 o'clock and you'll be at Ralph's, and they'll play Slippery When Wet from Bon Jovi. And you'll go, yeah. And you'll look to your right and your left, and you'll wonder what all these gray-haired people are doing rocking out to. Yes. So my suggestion is go see live music as much as you can. Cool. Go to every concert you can and bathe in being young and alive and plugged into something that is not your field. Go celebrate another art and bathe in it and realize I'm never going to be a rock star, but boy, I like going to rock concerts.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, my mildly interesting has to do with you.
Oh.
Through sitting here and interviewing you for this podcast, I want you to make me one promise.
What's that?
Will you promise never, ever, ever for the rest of your life to say on the wrong side of 50 ever again?
Oh my God, thank you. Yes, I promise.
Promise me?
I promise, because I've really started leaning into that.
I know you have.
Terrible
and
thing to say.
And here's why I think your story is really inspired. And I love the fact that you're on this side of 50 that you're on.
And it's happening.
And you're having this phenomenal career, this beautiful family. You just went to Paris. And I think we have this idea that, I know actors of all generations, they just all feel like if you don't do it by 30, and then if you don't do it by 40, you know, that you're toast. And I think so much about your journey. And I think about the guy on Silicon Valley for season 1. Did you watch Silicon Valley?
Yes.
So the guy in season 1 who played this sort of savant investor, and that actor booked the role of a lifetime and then was diagnosed with lung cancer and died by the end of the season. And I just think no, I was so no, he finally gets it. And then no.
Right. This isn't the movie I signed up for.
Yeah, no, I was and as an actor, I was so happy for him because he was so great on the show. And it was he put in so many years and so much time, and just Better Call Saul didn't just get a great show, but a great show with great people working and writing great stuff. And then I was no, he cannot do that. And so I think about your story, and I think about, to me, it helps me, and hopefully you can receive this, it helps me to be excited about the actress I'm going to be in my 50s.
Right.
Regardless of how I know that I can't possibly know where the business is going to be at that time. But I love knowing that you could have one of the best professional experiences of your life several years ahead of you.
Right. Ahead of you. And I had no idea that was going to happen.
No. And it's just so true that it's not just the work you're doing. It's not just the part. I mean, if you guys aren't watching Better Call Saul, I don't even know what you're doing. Because it's the best show. It's so great to be on a show that you're like, it's like literally the best show. And every season really does get better and better. But just the personal joy I can understand as an actor to work on a show, be given multiple seasons of that show, have such a fantastic character that gets range, that gets dimension, and is written so, because writing, right? To be written so fantastically, and then to be run so well.
Right. It's the lottery.
It is the lottery. And to as an actor to have the joy of that. And I love your honesty, and I love, when I sit and hang out with you and Ray and you talk about like how every night you guys call each other like, are you fired yet? I'm not fired yet. Like, I really think after today, like, I'm super fired, this is like, right, the actor neuroses like isn't going to go away. I just think that is so great.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's so hard to say it and leave it.
Okay, great. Well, Patrick, thank you so much for coming.
Audrey.
I know that you have a life and a family and all that, but I'm so honored that you make the time.
It's my pleasure, and I can't wait to see you back in the office.
Oh my God, I'm so excited about season 5. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm like so excited.
Me too.
Next week on Audrey Helps Actors, we are going to talk about the Emmys. Oh my God, you guys. I went to the Emmys and I'm doing like an episode about it because don't you want to know what's going on in the Emmys? And we talk about it in Patrick's episode. So I feel like only fitting that you guys should know like what the F is going on. So when you dream of your Emmy dreams, you have a little bit of an understanding of what to expect. Okay. So that's going to be really fun, and really big thanks to Patrick Fabian. You guys, he was here for a really long time, gave really generously, and he's really just an inspiration, I think, to all of us, and gives me so much insight about how this career goes and how in so many ways, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And you really have to take care of yourself and do the work and love the work and continue to nurture and foster that. So thank you so much, Patrick. I think you're amazing. This show is produced by Jesse Lumen, my now husband. What's up? You guys, he's still so handsome. This episode is edited by Patricia Cuffie-Jones and Thomas Snodgrass. Also, shout out to Thomas for the mic assistance now and then. It's still good to have your sound guy across the street. Show music is brought to you by Ari De Niro. Theme song assistance is by Aalok Mehta and 108 Hill. All right, you guys, don't forget your towel.